With the last international break of the year done and dusted, with Tammy Abraham scoring the goal today, 3 in 3 appearances, it does seem to be harder and harder for Giroud to get those playing minutes that he wants so desperately, and ones that Didier Deschamps has pointed out, Scott.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Frank talked before the game about having 5 centre-halves and trying to keep them happy, and that's a difficult thing to do. I mean, look, Timo Werner, for me, is probably the #1 choice, although I think Tammy Abraham did really well and showed that the two of them can play in the same side. Then you got Olivier Giroud as the #3. But again, this is such a condensed season. Injuries will happen. Suspensions will happen. We know that injuries are already 50% more than at the same stage last year, so certainly soft tissue muscles injuries anyway. So he will get his chance. You know, Chelsea are in other competitions. So I think he's got to try and keep him happy. He's got to say to him, look, you've got to be ready to come on. And look, off the field, Olivier Giroud, I know for a fact, likes living in London. I don't think he particularly wants to move, but he's a footballer. He wants to be playing minutes on the pitch. At the moment, he can't really have too much of an argument because both Werner and Tammy Abraham are doing the business. At any time, they could pick up an injury and he needs to be ready, and then he could be playing the next 5 or 6 games. And I do think it's absolutely vital for Frank to be able to keep him, because the squad this season, more than any other season, is going to be so important with these injuries coming up and what we've already seen as well.
But that's just purely relying on perhaps someone getting a major injury crisis. But Olivier Giroud got to make a decision, because you're looking ahead to the European Championships, and it is a risk to perhaps you may not even get your minutes from now till January, and it's crucial for him to make a decision in January if he wants Didier Deschamps, obviously his opinions, if he wants to be part of the European Championship, he's got to get more game time. Where do you stand on this, Rob? What should Olivier Giroud do?
Well, I think it's changed a wee bit with the old internationals. I think during my days, if you wasn't playing for your club, you had very little chance of playing for your country. I think that's all changed. I think he went to Chelsea not expecting to play every single game. He's not a spring chicken. I'm not sure that he would want to play every game.
But he's only played 33 minutes in the Premier League season so far. That's barely half a game.
Yeah, but as Scott said, if he wants to be a big club like Chelsea, then he expects competition. Listen, every time he comes in, he does very, very well. So Frank can keep him happy to be on the bench, coming on every now and again. And say injuries will happen. He'll play him in probably different games. He's a valuable person to have in your squad, but I don't think he expects to start. Certainly not the way their forwards are playing. And as regards to his country, whether he doesn't play another minute and always is sub for Chelsea, I still think he'll be in the squad, because again, I think they know how good he is. Even if he comes on for them or he starts for them, he always gives his all. He always seems to score goals. So I don't think it matters too much.
It's quite a hard balance, isn't it? I mean, how do you juggle? Okay, you want to be in part of Chelsea, you want to be part of a great club, but you may not get minutes. And then on the international sense, you may be risking all that as well. So you don't think Olivier Giroud should move then, Scott?
From a Chelsea perspective, I hope he doesn't. I mean, you're right
from a
to bring it up.
From a Giroud perspective then, if you were Olivier Giroud.
Yes. No, look, you're right to bring it up, definitely. I mean, it is a big decision. And I think the crucial conversation he needs to be having is the one with Didier Deschamps. And say, look, this is my situation. If it carries on to the end of the season, what do you think? What could happen? He's not a starter for France, but he's someone who can always come on for 10, 15 minutes and make a nuisance of himself. So if Didier Deschamps is actually saying, well, do you know what? I need you to play some minutes, but I don't need to be playing all the time, then I do think he will get those minutes as the season progresses at Chelsea. But, you're absolutely right to say he's not at the age where he can say, if I miss out on this, I suppose the World Cup will be coming quickly, but I'm sure the next set of French players will be coming through and developing even more so by the time of the World Cup. It's a very fine balance. It's very difficult. He needs to have a chat with Deschamps, but he needs to also to think about himself and his future as well. And as Rob said, back in his day and my day, if you weren't playing regularly for your team, your club, then you wouldn't play for your country. It is a little bit different nowadays.
Let's also, Scott, let's don't forget that actually, if we went to a club, it would be a lesser club than Chelsea. Say he went to Newcastle, rumours about Newcastle. if he goes there, Newcastle struggle and he doesn't play well, then he's not going to get picked anyway. So and that could happen. He knows he's at a club where if he comes on for 20, 25 minutes or starts games, he's going to get chances. If he plays for a club like Newcastle at this moment in time, he could start every game and be the same as Joe Linton up front and not get any chances at all to score a goal anyway. So he has to weigh up what he, and he also does he want to leave, as you say, does he want to leave London? Does he want to leave the comforts of London where he's quite happy? He's been there for Arsenal and now Chelsea. So I don't see him leaving. Might be wrong. I don't see him leaving.
But Scott, you said from a Chelsea's perspective, you do hope he stays, but it may be worth pointing out that his contract actually expires in the summer. So if there was any sort of cashing in you want, it's going to happen in January.
I don't think it's about cashing in for Chelsea. They're not going to get much money for him at all. It's about having that backup. The same. He's in a similar position last season. He signed an extension for 1 year. It's not about the money for Chelsea. It's about making sure you have a good enough player to come on if you do get the injuries. He's a backup. That's what he is at the moment. And Rob's right. You go to Newcastle, is he going to get any chances? Now, it's a big gamble. I mean, you're right to bring it up and actually ask the question, because he will be wanting to play for his country in a major tournament. Of that, there is no doubt. But at the same time, he's not a regular starter for France. He's not a regular starter for Chelsea. What are the options if I go to a lower club? Is it all about minutes on the pitch for you, Didier Deschamps? Or is it about me being at a club that can win things and me playing a part towards that, which I believe he still can? It's a tough call. I hope he stays at Chelsea. I do think he will stay at Chelsea.